Alrighty, going ahead and getting our stream set up right now. Boys and girls, thanks so much for your patience. We're starting a couple minutes later than we expected, and it is taking us a little bit longer to get our live stream set up the way we hoped. I see Sam in the chat, Gandalf Gray, Nicholas Evans, Barry Merritt, and Raven Boy Crypto. You guys are awesome. Thanks so much for being here to support live. Thank you so much for sharing the link. It makes a difference. As you know, every click counts, and especially with the current conditions, current market conditions, and current YouTube and social media conditions, we need all the clicks, all the attention gathered towards crypto content as we can get, as much as we can get. We have a lot of political forces. We have a lot of various, it's mostly political, actually. A lot of different forces in the world that are trying to tear down the signal, that are trying to prevent us from being able to talk openly about cryptocurrencies, about this asset class, about what we do with mining, and about all this stuff that really matters to us. We know that this is going to be transformative technology that changes the world, but not if it is stifled, right? Not if it is silenced. So appreciate you being supportive. Go ahead and click that thumbs up, s'il vous plaît. Every click there counts as well. And again, the share button while we are live makes the biggest difference. So thank you so much for being supportive there. And welcome back to the channel. My name is Seth. You're watching Mind Your Biz. This is our live stream, guys. I'm trying to do this a couple more times per week, a little more frequently. It's been a little bit of a challenge starting up some new ventures within the crypto space and continuing with old ventures. That's the hardest part, is that transition period right between one to the next. Wow, I'm like really relaxed here. It's summer. We're feeling totally summery, I guess. Still doing the polo, but kind of a little more chilled out. Thank you for being here with me live. I've got your comments not on the screen, unfortunately, today, but I do appreciate all the support in the live chat. I see Kevin Hawthorne, who is chiming in from Lakeland, Florida. Good to see you, man. Barry Merritt is saying you may get your wish. Bitcoin could go to 15K this weekend or early Monday morning hours. We got a lot to cover right now, and I definitely appreciate you being here with me live and hitting that thumbs up, sharing, right, and making comments as we go. I might have to do a little bit of update. Yep, there we go. To my live stream setup live as we go. So let me just make sure that we've got this. There we go, updated. I have to reset those permissions every single time. That's part of what having a privacy orientation and being security conscious means, is that you do limit a lot of permissions on your computers. Even though you have Windows or Mac OS, you might use those operating systems. You have to lock down some of those permissions to stay safe. And yeah, so I wind up having to do a lot of things manually and reset things. But you know what? At the cost of a tiny bit of convenience, I'd rather stay more safe, personally. And know that I live in a dangerously free state. All right, Fear and Greed Index is currently 14. What does that mean? It means that, well, actually, we're kind of experiencing a bit of recovery in terms of sentiment, but what would that mean by way of price? It's anybody's guess, right? Usually this is an inverse indicator. This is a counter indicator in my mind, which, by the way, I know, you hate having me do it. I hate having to do it, but I gotta do it. That is not advice. It's just me saying that typically people view this as a counter indicator. I've been trained such that when I see a red light at the intersection, I almost hit the gas, right? I've got to restrain myself from hitting the gas because I see red candles and I get excited. But in a prolonged bear market, in prolonged austere conditions, when we're seeing the textbook definition of a recession going on here in the United States, right? 2 full quarters of down markets, we officially started the recession yesterday, July 1st. So welcome to the recession. We're living it. It's actually happening. I still see buying opportunities when I see red, right? I'm not worried about, trying to DCA in after we've had 3 weeks of green candles. That's what retail does. That's why retail is poor. I don't want to live that way at all anymore. DCA works. DCA is what we're doing, Oh, look at that. That's pretty great. Guys, and I apologize if we've got some ads inserted right now. This is an opportunity that YouTube is giving me to show some ads midstream. So please be patient with me. If you see an ad in between some of our today's content, this is something I'm trying out. It's a little bit different. We're not live streaming to Twitter this time. It wound up not being a net boost to what to the typical numbers of Mind Your Biz, but I digress. Let's go into some out of order here. Go into some TX Street visualized gas fees for the day. This tends to affect a lot of what we're trying to do by way of trades if we are on DEXs. And I need to go out of my way to say on this show, you've never heard me endorse that you should use platforms like Celsius, BlockFi, Nexo, or anything else. Three Arrows Capital is in default. Three Arrows Capital is failing to honor its debts, its obligations, and this is causing serious havoc in the rest of the crypto markets. Our audience, right, our community, if we've maintained a focus on decentralized finance, we've been mercifully spared. But was it really mercy? And were we really spared? Or did we save ourselves? I think we probably saved ourselves, right? So if you are having to buy cryptocurrencies, if you are having to dollar cost average into Bitcoin in order to get initial collateral within a cryptocurrency, you typically have to use some kind of an on-ramp. I've been using Swan Bitcoin, and I'm totally okay with that. That's why it lives in the link list in the description of my videos, because they allow for auto DCAs, they allow for automatic withdrawals to a private device, and they do not punish users for using something like a Whirlpool, CoinJoin, or Samurai wallet after you've withdrawn. So there are other services that do try to punish you if you mix your own funds, but they have a record of your purchases. So, and you can export your purchases directly for tax purposes later on. So there's no reason to track your funds after that point if you're the person legally who purchased it. Barry Merritt is dropping facts down in the chat saying you should be able to buy an S19J Pro over 100 terahashes right now for $5,000. Those are absolute facts. I told Blockchain Boy over on TikTok, I'm making content over there. I told him that he overbought when he spent over $10,000 per unit. He absolutely got fleeced, and he just didn't know it because he doesn't pay attention to mining channels. He saw the opportunity of owning the means of production, but he doesn't know that he's going to basically be underwater for a lot longer on that purchase. So if you are looking at ASIC mining equipment, if you are looking at GPUs, we've got to make really shrewd decisions about how we buy, how much we're willing to spend. And yeah, just really make a penny squeal right now, because every penny saved is more than a penny earned, as we know, when Bitcoin runs back up. So yeah, absolutely. Ritzblitz is saying they're cheaper than that. Throws out 4K. No, I believe that. I believe that, yeah, we can negotiate for far better than 5K. My point is that you had mainstream influencers who don't understand crypto mining or Bitcoin mining saying that buying an S19J Pro was a deal at $10,000. No, not a deal. Not a deal. You might have gotten wrecked if you paid attention to some of those channels. Just because they have attention doesn't mean that they have the best intentions, we'll say, or the best understanding. All right. So here we are on txstreet.com. We see Ethereum and BTC. The pricing on Ethereum transactions is looking pretty good. This is kind of a brief tutorial. When we want to edit this, we click the pencil icon. We don't need to see the last block. We do want to see the median transfer fee, not the pending transactions, but median transfer fee. And we also want to see the median gas price, as well as the median contract fee. These three numbers right here are going to tell us roughly what it costs to use Ethereum right now. And to transfer one Ether from one wallet to another wallet costs just over $1 right now. It's the best it's been in a long time. Now, if you've been watching Mind Your Biz for the number of years that we've been broadcasting, you've seen that price fluctuate between several dollars to only a few cents. We've spent, 8-7 cents, right, in recent years on Ethereum, but that has gone back up. However, yeah, now because of the decrease in network activity, come back down. Contract fees are a little more than that. So to send, say, like your USDCs, to stake any kind of a stakeable asset on Ethereum, or to purchase or mint an NFT, if that's what you're in the business of doing right now, you're only spending $5 or so. Not bad. Now, over on Bitcoin, we're seeing a bigger backlog in the mempool than we've seen in a long time. See how quickly the low fee line is getting filled up? These transactions are getting pulled up from the low fee line on Ethereum, which is great. The backlog of the mempool is being addressed. But on Bitcoin, there's quite a bit going on. Quite a bit. Let's get rid of the last block. Let's get rid of pending transactions. Keep the median transaction fee, and then let's put in the median fee in terms of sats per V byte. Okay, so Satoshis per byte, basically. Median transaction fee on Bitcoin right now is 46 cents. So a little more pricey than we like to see on Bitcoin, but still decent pricing for mixing your Bitcoin. I realize that right now some people may be cost averse and may be saying, look, I just want to leave my stuff in cold storage. I don't want to deal with this, but I am telling you, I'm begging you, I'm pleading with you. It is not, as I understand it right now, illegal to use decentralized protocols to mix your Bitcoin or your Ethereum or any of your tokens running on either of those networks. It's not illegal to use coins like Monero because it's privacy at the protocol level, or Pirate Chain, anything that has privacy by default at the protocol level. What is illegal is using centralized mixing services that have administrative keys or administrative privileges that can view. So ironically, it would be illegal to use something of like a 3-letter agency honeypot system that is a centralized mixer. It's not illegal to use Whirlpool, CoinJoin on Samurai Wallet. Totally decentralized. There is no single point of control or oversight or administration. So not illegal. Definitely look into that. Yeah, guys, the mempool, seeing the mempool totally fill up on Bitcoin is sobering, right? And it does tell you that people who are serious about sovereignty are getting in. Now, it's also true that with Ethereum, you have this huge backlog of the mempool. You got all these transactions coming out of the low fee area and jumping in and being placed all the way back here. See that one Gwei? You're not necessarily seeing one-way transactions happening, but you are seeing people queuing up in hopes of being able to load up a 7 or 8 Gwei transaction. So the gas fees are kind of correcting themselves. You could say nature is healing. With these markets correcting, you're seeing Ethereum start to function more as intended, but you're also seeing Bitcoin take on more load than it typically does, which is also a good stress test in times like this when people are uncertain. They want to move their Bitcoin into more certain positions, and you want to see that usage because we've been talking about the narrative of banking the unbanked. We've been talking about the narrative of getting people to be more sovereign with their currency for a long time. And we need to see proof of that. Well, there's the proof. Here's the block explorers, here's a representation of the block explorers showing us that the mempools are filling up correctly or that they're filtering through at the low fees correctly. So hopefully we'll continue to see that phenomenal throughput on Bitcoin. Hopefully we won't see too many people stuck in the mempool. The low fee line, I'm wondering how accurate this is. See that? How all these are moving back. They're moving back. They're moving back. The gas fee structure or the gas fee marketplace for Bitcoin is doing its job too. See that? People who just submitted a transaction being pushed all the way back here. So I don't know if this low fee line is fully accurate because we are seeing the mempool so full that blocks are not filling up with current transactions or with transactions that were just recently submitted. So we may see transactions on Bitcoin take an hour or 6 hours. This is very common during high traffic periods on the Bitcoin blockchain. So we'll see. We'll definitely see. Barry Merritt also dropping some knowledge here with Bitmain delivering 200 terahash ASICs. He says the difficulty will increase at that point. Yep, huge news there. The Samsung chips, the new 3-nanometer Samsung chips for SHA-256 mining have been picked up by BT Mining, right? So the BT Miner lines should have the ASICs manufactured by Samsung. This is huge. Competition in this area is very good. We want to see a lot of competition in this area. On the flip side, we didn't line up any articles today talking about Compass Mining or any of the other institutional mining groups. As you know, I do not endorse them per se. We have had a sponsorship by GMT for a couple of episodes and a couple of streams, but I'm not telling you to go out and put your ASICs in somebody else's warehouse, right? Like you contribute to the rehypothecation problem that most financial markets and most service markets have had for years. So mining at home in a small to mid-scale fashion is the way. This is decentralization. That's exactly what decentralization looks like. The only way we can make it more decentralized is if we had fewer pools. So, consider all of that. Shout out to both Bits Be Trippin' and Vega, or that is to say Serpent X Tech. So Bits Be Trippin' and Serpent X Tech both attended an interview yesterday. I was not able to make it, but look out for that in the coming days. I can't mention the journal that they were interviewed by, but I'm so excited for them. Going to be a great article coming out very, very soon. I'll link to that as soon as we have public coverage, but I'm really excited for them. The crypto mining community is being asked in no uncertain terms, what does it feel like to get wrecked at home, right? Speaking of decentralization and mining at home, small to mid scale, Ritsplit says, didn't Compass Mining just get kicked out of one of their warehouses for not paying the power bill? Yes, that is correct. And they defaulted on a power bill. It was about $250,000. It was not the highest. Was not the highest bill I've ever heard of a mining facility having, but there is the strong possibility, and this is speculation on my part. I don't mean to say anything defamatory or unsubstantiated, just a guess. Potentially, they may have been caught up in the Three Arrows Capital problems of not being able to withdraw funds in a timely fashion to pay bills, right? So that would be a problem, right? If you had any of your profits bound up into any of these centralized exchanges, any of these centralized yield platforms, you would have problems. But also mining at that scale, I can't blame any of these institutions for looking for custodial solutions to either get yield or take loans or both, right? Get yield on Bitcoin earned and take out loans against Bitcoin so you don't have to sell your Bitcoin. The only problem is that all of these centralized platforms, such as Three Arrows Capital, rehypothecated, right? They borrowed against the core Bitcoin holdings that they had multiple times from different institutions. They were far too over leveraged to be able to make good on their debts. So crap rolls downhill. See the problem? Like, we're a debt addicted culture, and unfortunately that habit made its way into institutional Bitcoin infrastructure. I mean, bummer, but those of us who've been mining at home and advocating for mining at home, we're not affected. It's not a problem, right? Not a problem here. So yeah, there you go. But the central question for today's live stream is still get mining gear or wait, right? That's always the central question. We're also asking, has Bitcoin found its bottom support? We're going to get to some of the articles that we figure out what other people are saying about that. Let me tell you my thoughts on that right now. First off, so great to see TX Street. Take a look at those gas fees, the gas fee marketplace. But the chart, what does it say? Well, chopsticks haven't failed us yet in terms of a macro trend, right? So we see this trend line moving down, and look at that. Lo and behold, the red candles have almost exactly conformed to our trend line. So I think we finally dialed it in. Like, more data over a longer period of time has probably helped us out as far as this trend line goes. We could break out to the downside again, especially now that we're hearing some calls for 15K. By the end of the weekend, we could break out of this trend line again. But I suspect that over time, until we find support at between 12 and 14K, this trend line will hold. That's just my gut talking, guys. What do I know about this? I mean, I'm not going to be able to talk to you about fancy, like, technical analysis tools. I'm not going to be able to talk to you about the fancy charts that everybody else tries to draw. But we know that Bitcoin has to correct. We know that Bitcoin typically corrects to anywhere between 85 to a 90% correction after every halving cycle, after its all-time high. And it failed to print, it failed to go to $100,000, which is why when it loses 80 to 85%, it's very unlikely to find support at whatever, 15K, right? So where it would have lost 85% and only gone to 15K, if it had run up to 100K, well, it didn't get there. It only made it to almost 70K. So what does that mean when it loses 85% from its all-time high and finds that bottom support at 85%? Well, it means that we could see much lower pricing. There are some people even saying that they're preparing themselves for the worst-case scenario of Bitcoin wicking down to $5,000, right? Which would be extremely painful for a lot of people, especially miners in the space, institutional miners even. People who are mining at scale, people mining with free power even, would struggle with all of their other costs if Bitcoin wicked down to $5,000. Now, maintaining $5,000 as bottom support over a sustained period of time, man, I don't know. I don't know what it would take for that to happen. But I do know that right now, oh my gosh, guys, we've got the whole gang's here. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already subscribed or hit that thumbs up, I'm just going to ask you, let's make this happen. All the clicks count. Appreciate you being here. But we're talking about, like, Bitcoin potentially wicking down to $5,000. What would that mean for everybody involved in the institutional side? What would it mean to anybody involved in mining? It would be devastating, I think, and not because of the cost of mining per se, but because of the cost of total infrastructure. You have to set up the racks. You have to run power. There's so much that you have to do that is a lot more tricky than just the hardware or the power itself. Like, the hardware is one of the last things that goes into a mining space, into the rack space. If you don't have power distributed, if you don't have the correct amount of power run to a facility, if you don't have the capacity to be able to distribute that power across a huge rack space, then it doesn't matter how many miners you have. So when people talk about like, whoa, more capex to run a mining operation, well, cool story, bro. Like literally the last thing on the list is the mining gear. You can't get gouged on it, right? You'll never make money if you get gouged on it, but it's one of the last things you consider. So anyway, the chopsticks, I love to see that they are still holding firm. We've got a little green candle today. There are some people I think who are excited. We also see that like with those first few red candles down, there was much lower volume, but then a massive sell-off, I think is probably what is spurring that reversal right there. The moving average convergence divergence is still showing a bullish histogram, right? So we've been on the bullish histogram for several days, even though we're printing red candles and with relatively low volume, but that's pumped back up. Interestingly, we've got that that green candle also with low volume, which tells me it's probably not sustainable. I mean, again, just using simplest interpretations of these charts, I still think that we're going to maintain this trend and we might break to the downside again. So might go steeper, right? Slide off this cliff even faster, but we'll see. Volcano 1 says it would decentralize more in the big bankruptcy. Yep, totally right. Barry Merritt also dropping facts, says a lot of these 3-year electric contracts are expiring. That makes sense. You had a lot of mining operations that picked up when prices were cheap back in 2019. So yeah, unfortunately, you have groups like Compass Mining that were formed in 2019 precisely because they saw a huge power vacuum and things were cheap. So, I mean, that's just good business. You want to buy up all of the means of production. You want to buy up all of the possible collateral at that time. And appreciate those who are just tuning in right now. Be sure that you smash that like button. Every click counts, but yours counts maybe double. All right, guys, appreciate you taking a look at the charts with me. Let's check into our GPU portfolio and quickly, for this audience, the Mind Your Biz audience, because we believe in decentralization, because we believe in proof of work and decentralization of proof of work, we know that GPUs are one of the most decentralized hardware profiles. You can buy them in a local hobby shop, right? A local hardware store, rather computer hardware store, and you can bring it home and start making it do proof of work algorithms in one day. You don't have to wait 3 months for a Chinese factory to mine the profitability out of it before they send it to you. You can get your GPUs right now if you needed to. And that's kind of the problem what we're seeing right now in the markets is that they are looking a little bit more attractive in terms of price than they have in a long time, but we don't know if that makes sense. Flux is currently at over 100% profit from when we created this portfolio entry. But what has it been doing over the last 7 days? It's the only one that looks like it's in the profit. Zero is doing pretty well. We have some interesting spikes, and it looks like it's probably decorrelated from Bitcoin. Matic, Aave, interest-bearing, wrapped Ethereum. Also with very strange steps up and down. So potential manipulation there in that chart. Mimblewimble coin absolutely manipulated AF. Look at those giant mesas, right? The giant steps up, the huge drops down, the flat bottom support, the spikes. That just does not look predictable at all in any way that anyone who's smart would want to trade anything or even hold anything. It's just there's so much manipulation going on. You're in a casino holding in conditions like that. I think personally, not trying to take a dig at Mimblewimble coin, but clearly somebody is having some fun with those charts. Ergo doing all right over the last 7 days. It's one of our least worst losers. It's done all right over the last 24 hours, especially bit of recovery over the last 24 hours, and I still have not been able to do that deep dive, so I apologize, audience. I'll have to do that deep dive. Maybe we'll do one live where we just dedicate some time to doing a deep dive on Ergo. Likely not today, but I know there's a lot going on there, and I promised some of the BitBoy crypto community and the BitBoy team that I would take a closer look at Cardano projects. They're Cardano maxis over there, and they love it, and I'm decidedly not a Cardano maxi, but since Ergo allows for proof of work, they've caught our attention for months here on Mind Your Biz. The least I can do is do that deep dive, but I haven't been able to get that time just yet. Thanks for being patient, guys. All right, over the last 7 days, though, those are kind of our only big winners. Grin, whoo, look at that. Grin is the new 0x Bitcoin. Look at that chart. Okay, we got to go see where this is being traded right now. Market cap is only $7 million, so there's a strong risk of getting wrecked here if you do try to trade this chop. But look at that high frequency swing. Good grief. Let's pay attention to what the size of that swing is. Oh my gosh. And look at the frequency of it. I mean, we got to zoom in. We have to see this closer. Okay, so we're up to 7 cents, just over 7 cents, down to 6.3. So what is that? It's a 10% swing up and down. But what's the frequency? So that is at 329. That is at 338. It's a 10-minute, 10% swing. That's juicy. That's very juicy. We got to see where this is being traded. Somebody in the Mind Your Biz audience, not me. This is not me announcing my intent to go and wreck this coin's market cap by swing trading the life out of it. But I am encouraging somebody here to do that. I am openly encouraging somebody here who feels like they have enough of the skills to go and take a look at this, possibly start setting some automated targets, use some tools, and see what you can do. I want one of you to win here on Grin, okay? I want one of you who feels like they have the correct technical skills to go and profit, go make money, save yourself from all the carnage of these markets, right? So let's take another close look at this. Scroll down, see where it's being traded. Gate.io, Hotbit, Buybox, Bit4X, and TradeOgre. TradeOgre, I think, is where we definitely have that highest confidence in the trust score, but unfortunately, it means that, yeah, the 24-hour volume plus the actual depth is really low. If you want to trade at size, if you want to pay attention on how you can really make gains from that swing trade at size, you're going to need to be able to trade over, it looks like on Hotbit, where you got over 60K in daily volume, plus you've got that over $2,000 depth, right? So yeah, you're going to be able to actually trade larger trades there if you got the stomach for it, if you got the skill set for it, right? And you got one of the highest percentages of the market depth being traded there. Bit4X also doing pretty good in terms of daily volume. It's just that the depth is less than half. It's 1/3. 1/3 of the depth of Hotbit. So if Hotbit can be automated, that is the big question. And I don't know whether or not Hotbit can be automated. Let's take a look at its overall 24-hour volume. Over 180 million every 24 hours. Almost 2,000 coins and basically 3,000 pairs between those 2,000 coins, give or take. Shiba Inu versus Tether. A lot of Shiba Inu pairs. That's great against stables. DAI and Tether, so you have some stable pairs as well. Polkadot. Really great lineup there. I can't say that I can endorse Hotbit, like I don't. This is not sponsored content. They don't pay me. They don't know I'm talking about them, and they haven't reviewed any of my comments. There's nothing about Hotbit that, I don't even have an affiliate link for Hotbit. So typically I try to have at least that set up for most exchanges, so I'm not super familiar with it. Funny that there's a confidence or trust score that's lower on coins like Yushi versus Tether, but I mean, good grief, who's ever heard of Yushi? Like, why would there be high confidence or trust there? And then, interestingly, yeah, Binance versus Tether is also a low confidence or low trust pair on this exchange. So that's maybe a red flag there too, but they don't have it as super low confidence or super low trust. But that's just to say, jumping back in time here, guys, just to say, we see a chart that looks extremely manipulated. Take a look at the 7-day trend. And wow, those swings are so heavy, and it looks like they picked up this week as far as the intensity of the swings. Yeah, because you only had about a 0.3 cent swing before, and now you've got a swing that is a full 10% every single 10 minutes, every 10 minutes or so. So there could even be a 30-minute, right? You could set 30-minute targets, and you could still just rake in the cash if you're fast enough to make this work. Mind Your Biz community, somebody out there, I'm counting on you. I want you to win. I want you to come back with the story of how you took this knowledge and you went and dominated this coin on this exchange. Please make it happen. I want to see somebody here watching just shred their profits, shred the order books, and just walk away with house money, right? I want to see one of you take the house, okay? That's what I'm saying. All right, Galo Salome is in the chat saying, afternoon, sir, heard about the KuCoin FUD. Thoughts about that? I have heard about the KuCoin FUD. I don't know a whole lot about it yet, but there's something to be aware of. All centralized exchanges right now are a bit of a risk. So even that last segment talking about Grin over on Hotbit, it's a risk. You can't afford to, you can't play with any of these centralized exchanges or yield platforms using money that's more than you could afford to lose, right? Right now, we're seeing exchanges halt withdrawals. We're seeing them fully lock down accounts. We're seeing them go insolvent, and we're seeing in their terms of service that you already signed your holdings away to them as collateral to pay off debts. So we know there's a huge risk when it comes to using any of these platforms. So still, be very careful. But I won't add to the FUD with KuCoin. I'm just going to say that, there's general FUD. There's general uncertainty and doubt. I wouldn't say it's just fear, but there's general uncertainty and doubt, and it's largely validated when it comes to using centralized exchanges. KuCoin is no exception, right? They may be solvent, and they may be able to cover your trades, and they may allow for withdrawals. But the question is always, for how long? It's never a question of if, but when an exchange has a problem. Even Binance has had some problems with certain coin pairs or in certain territories. Binance.com stopped servicing U.S. residents, and then they created Binance.us with vastly lower daily volume, vastly lowered amounts, and just less action. There was less interesting stuff going on at Binance.us, plus more restrictive KYC requirements. So where I'm going with that is to say, certainly as a U.S. resident, centralized exchanges are not your friend. They're going to be some problems. They're like centralized banks in a lot of ways. And we're seeing that with the Three Arrows Capital debacle, with the insolvency of Three Arrows Capital having these ripple effects out to other custodians who just can't cover the calls, can't cover the debts. So there are some problems there, and I'm not going to FUD KuCoin again, per se, just to say in general, it is validated uncertainty and validated doubt about the ability of any centralized exchange or custodial service to make good on your crypto. So I would be extra cautious if I were you. I am not holding cryptos on exchange. I've got some issues there. So Barry Merritt says, I have 4 hardware wallets. Ravenbow Crypto says, agreed, ordered more ledgers. That's great, right? The Nano S Plus, if you are so inclined, there is a link in the description of this video. You support the channel. It's free, right? It doesn't cost you anything more to support this channel by clicking on our affiliate links there. But the Nano S Plus I've been using for weeks and absolutely love it. Best of both worlds, phenomenal bang for the buck, especially since I lowered the price. So I will be getting more myself. We have some other wallets coming in, by the way, in the coming days. The Foundation devices, right? The Passport 2 Bitcoin exclusive wallet is a great piece of kit that is coming out to our studio very, very soon. I'll be taking that through its paces and doing a full product breakdown because it's designed to be taken apart and to be inspected physically. So you can ensure that there's been no funny business done to the main logic board or to the rest of the stack, and also allows it to travel a little more clandestine, right? In a little more clandestine fashion. So you can be sure that you cross borders with a really great Bitcoin only device that is safe, secure, and untampered. So yeah, exciting times there. Checking back into that Grin chart. That's the 7-day. You already saw, this is what we were taking a look at that got that attention over 24 hours though. Just looks that much more juicy. Please, again, somebody here, for the love of all that's holy, tell me that you're winning with that coin. Raven Coin is also not doing as bad as others over the last 7 days. Alex is asking, what's your take on Arculus wallet? And I don't know if this is Alex from Arculus, but I did stop by the Arculus booth at Consensus and I got myself a unit just as a, here you go, proof of life. It's here in the studio, right there at arm's reach. I've got the Arculus device and I do have unboxing footage that I've just not been able to get edited together. So I'll get that done over the next couple of days. You'll get my full thoughts on Arculus wallet when I make that video. So hit that thumbs up. Be sure you're subscribed, click the bell so you know when that review goes live. We're not stopping, ladies and gentlemen. I told you, we're not stopping. Gordon Murray's in the chat. We're not stopping here at Mind Your Biz. We're just getting started. More interviews, more reviews, more product unboxings. Now is when we get to work. Now is when we come alive. When the prices are low, you and I know that we have to go and grab hands and save people. We have to go save retail from themselves. And yeah, figure this out. Let's see. Barry Merritt is saying, Mind Your Biz is late as normal. What? What do you mean late? Late? Oh, yeah, I did start a little bit late. Yeah, I did start late. Late on what? On what, though? You got to be more specific, Barry Merritt. Be a lot more specific. I've been talking to other projects and groups that nobody else in the GPU mining space can talk to. So late on what? Please tell me. Be as specific as you can. All right, so we've got the rest of our portfolio here, though, pretty much saying what I was saying early on. So speaking of being early, that Ravencoin is not going to be the coin that absorbs all of the hash rate from Ethereum, that it's not going to be the thing that becomes the market leader. But, you're welcome. You're welcome. I guess I was telling you that half a year ago, but you're welcome. All right, moving on from GPU mining, let's go over to hard drive mineable coins. Storage is at the top of the list. The least worst loser, least worst pick. Chia is at the bottom, of course, but it is finding some recovery this week over the last 7 days. It's up by almost 7%. But what does that really mean for Chia? That means overall, since we added this into our portfolio, it's down almost 95%. So we still have a little bit more blood to let out of Chia before there's a really good purchase there. The poor investor is talking about $15 acquisition price, and I still think that target is reasonable based on what he said. If there is more blood to be let out of this market, then hopefully Chia will give us some. And at $15, yeah, I'll pick up a bag. And I've been saying that for a while. Sia Coin, Signum, Filecoin, they're all suffering. Over the last 7 days, though, Chia, MadeSafe are the two biggest winners over the last 7 days. But again, they're still taking a big hit since we first made this portfolio. All right. And I know I did start late, guys. It's important for you to keep me honest. It's true. And I appreciate anybody who's just tuning in, hitting that thumbs up button and sharing the link. We got a lot of new people here clearly tuning in. If the analytics are to be believed, if the numbers are to be believed, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We do go live on a relatively regular basis, about once a week, occasionally twice or 3 times a week. But then we also upload content from all over the cryptoverse, from live events, from other channels that feature us, including the 2 largest channels in the crypto ecosystem, BitBoy Crypto and Altcoin Daily. So we do function as subject matter experts across various other facilities. Barry Merritt is also bringing back those receipts on Compass Mining. He's got an issue with the Texas One facility that has been down for almost 24 hours as of right now. And I got to say that for the Compass Mining team that's still on board, because there are some people who are still on board, their CTO or CEO and their CFO have resigned publicly. I made comment on that over on the BitBoy Crypto Show. You can see that by checking out my recap of me winning on Around the Blockchain on this channel. So go check out the playlist there. But yeah, my heart goes out to the rest of the team. There are real people who have skin in the game who thought that they were trying to build something that was a resource for miners who could no longer source cheap power on their own, hence needing co-location. And then there are some people who, have chosen to resign, and that's okay. I think that the company's better off for being less top heavy. I mean, I think that they did the right thing. If there was any mistakes made along the way, they definitely did the right thing by resigning now. So it's unfortunate that even with that sort of tightening of the belt with Compass Mining, that they've not been able to figure out a way to source the correct either collateral or the correct budget, right size their budget to ensure they can keep more doors open, more lights on, more facilities running. So that's too bad to hear about that. Barry Merritt is referring to, I don't know exactly what, but yeah, keep that up. Keep that up. Ravenboy Crypto says, "Gotta go, fam. Hit that like button. Appreciate that. Thank you so much for sharing, boys and girls." And it's, again, you're the reason I make this media. Thank you for being awesome. Thank you for the warm welcome. The warm welcome back. CPU mining, we got Epic Cash, which is at the top of the list, but also having those crazy swing trades, which is it a sign of manipulation? I don't know. I'm not sure. But as it is right now, the current paper trade that we have in this portfolio is still up by 200%. So phenomenal profit, right? So over 200% just in profit, not the initial holding, not the initial investment. So you could still walk away from your Epic Cash bag with the initial holding, a moon bag of the amount that you initially put in, or just take your initial out and still have 200% profit in the current holdings. So pretty cool to see there. Raptorium also up by quite a bit. But you still have the opportunity to take some profits here, even just a little bit of profits here, if you wanted to walk away with your initial and save a little bit of, a little bit of dry powder for other future buying opportunities. Everything else is kind of struggling on the CPU mining stage. Yentin looks like it's up over 7 days, but it also looks extremely manipulated. I don't even remember who it was from the community that suggested we put this in, but it was a long shot then, and now it's starting to look like maybe this is not going to be a great thing to have in your portfolio. I don't know. Y'all tell me. ASIC mining portfolio, really quickly. We got Bitcoin and Zcash at the top of the stack by way of profit, overall long-term hodl. But when we sort by 7-day profits, Bitcoin is making a recovery. Why? Man, heck if I know. Easily still 80% owned by the original founding team, meaning that you've got over $10 million, well over $10 million that is owned by that group. Could be somewhere in the order of, say, $17 million that's owned by that group and is still in control of the original founding team. We don't know. We don't know. It's not certain exactly who owns what from the Bitcoin initial pre-mine or initial mint, right, of this coin when it went live. Dogecoin also making not a recovery per se, but just not getting punched in the face quite as hard as, again, Grin and others. Don't see any charts that look quite like Grin's. Everything else looks a little more correlated to Bitcoin. So when we take a look at the Bitcoin chart, which is now about halfway through this lineup, that spike up, everybody else is pretty much following it. Obviously, the tokenized representations of Bitcoin follow it very, very closely. Pirate Chain does. Litecoin does in particular. Litecoin is always tightly correlated to Bitcoin, but then a few others as well, just with a little bit less upside on that recovery candle, right? That green wick up. So not a big shock, guys. This is business as usual over here. Pay attention to buying opportunities for ASICs, and we'll take a look at those later on. Kadena is still the #1 entry in the FPGA mineable category. There's nothing else that even comes close. Over the 7 days, there's been some recovery on Nimic, but that still puts it at 80% down since we first made this portfolio. So, buyer beware. These kinds of short-term charts are interesting if you're into high-frequency trading, but if you're into long-term hodling and mining, then you're starting to see that Kadena has been the only one that's performed well over time. It's been a bit like Flux, and it's had its fortune kind of hedged up with Flux's development cycle. So Flux and Kadena are performing very well together as a team because you have Kadena being deployed on the Flux network, or portions of the Kadena stack being deployed on the Flux network, and the ecosystem of Kadena deployed on Flux in a decentralized fashion. So you have that strong utility. You have that lockup of Flux because of the Flux nodes and because of the payouts of Flux nodes and the relative low price of operating, the low OPEX of operating the Flux nodes. So you have this really great sort of value ecosystem of both Kadena and Flux. Now, profits are way down from what there used to be, so just be cautious. If you still have profits left, you got to be really careful about what you choose to do there. Proof of stake smart contracts, what do you got? Solana in the #1 spot, which again to me is still unexplainable. Solana is not a project that I'm going to be endorsing anybody build on anytime soon because of the validator instability, the relative centralization, and the fact that the validators keep being reset manually by the core leadership team and by the validator, sort of the validator. What's the word? Not quorum, but the validator operation group, right? The sort of the teamsters of Solana validator operation. I don't know what's going on there, but I wouldn't build on it personally. I just wouldn't do that. And I know people who've come to regret that. Anything for Click says no bottom yet. Yep, he cut to the chase. No bottom yet. Avalanche in #2, and while it's done quite well, I don't have the highest faith in Avalanche over the long term either. And I know this is going to become an unpopular opinion, but I've had it for quite some time. And again, I'll just keep the receipt on this. I was right. When other GPU mining oriented channels were fudding Polygon and were fudding the Polygon ecosystem, what was Polygon doing? They were secretly making relationships with every major platform in the ecosystem and coming out dominant in the broader institutional crypto ecosystem. You can get USDC payouts on certain platforms, certain payment platforms. On which rails? Ethereum? No. Polygon. You can do NFT minting with gas-free minting and lazy minting on various NFT platforms. On Ethereum? No. On Polygon. You can take your mining profits on various pools on Polygon with lower fees or with zero gas. Now, I stopped listening to a lot of other GPU mining channels. I'm going to be honest, guys. I stopped listening to a lot of other GPU mining channels when they consistently tried to FUD Polygon, even though they themselves were taking profits and taking mining proceeds on Polygon. Like, fathom the hypocrisy of relying on a network to get your profits and then trying to FUD it nonstop. Where's the upside in that? Who are you helping with that? It's like playing a game of chicken, right? Where, like, when you win, you lose. Why would you do that? So again, I'm going to keep the receipt on that. For months before the rest of the GPU mining ecosystem and GPU mining content creation scene was finally admitting that Polygon had won in the scaling war, I brought that to you, and I stayed consistent with that, and I've been supportive of it. So you can like it or love it, but if you hate on that, you were wrong. So go cope and seethe somewhere else. I still love your face, but it's just not worth it, guys. Not worth it. Gobbles the 13th Goblin is in the chat saying, "Hey yo, appreciate seeing you here, brother." I'm gonna be pausing a little bit to take a few sips of my morning drink here as we go. Gordon Murray is saying they play both sides, shorting and long. No, I don't think that you understand this group the way I do. No, they're not. They're actually not that far ahead of the game. Many of them don't actually trade, so they're not shorting or longing. They only ever mine and hold. So what good does it do you to strangle the goose that lays the golden egg, specifically to try to jam up the network where you're taking profits? You see what I mean? Like, let's be very, very clear. How many GPU mining channels actually talk about like high frequency trading or shorting anything that they work on, anything they take profits on? It's a DCA strategy when you mine because you are getting a subsidy from the cost of power, right? So yeah, you're getting a subsidy from the cost of power. When you get that subsidy from the cost of power, you can't afford to short the project that you're getting your DCA through. You see what I mean? The fact that it's a DCA, technically a DCA strategy, means that you are always long. Always. By definition, you are long when you DCA. And by definition, mining is a DCA. So how are you going to FUD the network that you take your profits on, since you have to only get small payouts daily a la DCA, right? Daily or weekly a la DCA. How are you going to FUD that? Like, fathom the hypocrisy or the literal mental illness, right? The literal depression and mental illness to be able to do that instead of trying to identify a winner and stick with it and be supportive of it. You know what I mean? Like, get with the program. I'm not trying to like tell you that like, oh, this one, you know, there will be no other possible dark horse candidate in the ecosystem. But guys, I've kept the receipt. You've kept the receipt. I've spoken publicly about it, and I was right. They were wrong, consistently wrong. So I'm just gonna, sorry to get like go full Richard Hart there and get a little too fiery, but like there are a couple of things in that we're seeing now as the dust is clearing and we're moving towards a bottom support. That is just, it's becoming very clear, right? It's becoming very, very clear that success doesn't make you right in this space. It just doesn't. Having the highest sub count, having the highest whatever, it doesn't make you right. You have to be able to reason through things and not be so full of yourself. Speaking of which, ladies and gentlemen, like this is me humbly saying, like, I'm not going to waste time hating anybody, but I am just going to say, like, it's okay. It's okay to admit when you're wrong. It's okay to admit. It's okay to come out and just say you were right. Anything for Quick says, what happened to Pulse Chain? It's a great question. Didn't launch. Yeah, Pulse Chain didn't launch at all yet. And it continues to be delayed. I think that what's happening with Pulse Chain, though, is since we're on the topic of smart contract L1s, right? So smart contract L1s, just saying, guys, I'm going to try to do that very rarely. But I think right now it bears repeating that we had months of market commentary where you had a bunch of people who were clearly now operating on hopium and thinking that there was some other aspect of their channels or whatever else that would like validate their bias, but they were wrong. Like, it's going to be rare that I do this, but yeah, Uncle Seth was right. Uncle Mind Your Biz was right. And I was trying to look out for you because you're the reason to do this media. Do I have other full-time things I could devote all my time to? Obviously, right? Like this, does YouTube, like AdSense ad revenue, pay anybody's bills? No. Anyway, so let me try to retreat into a little bit of ego death here. Not make it about me. Let's keep the main thing. But just to say, right? Like I want to try to maintain that grounding, but also just be very, very clear. I was right on a couple of these things. And I think a few of the things I was right on saved a lot of people a lot of money. So, yeah, that's the track record I care about, is whether or not I help protect you. So, all right. Here in the proof of stake smart contracts, anything for clicks brings up a valuable question. Why isn't Pulse Chain on this list? Because it should be, right? According to everything that was stated so far, it should be. But there is a test net that's been live for a couple of months now. I got myself some collateral from a faucet and have checked that out. The test net's been running great for months. So yeah, when mainnet? That's a big question. A lot of people who got in early, who actually bought some. Dig deep, miner. Come on, guys, remember. You got to remember it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, right? Yeah, thanks, guys. Well, appreciate you showing up for the rants at least. So that's going to get, I'm sure, edited into somebody else's newsreel. Be like, this guy's an a-hole. Bruh. What else is new? Seriously, have you checked into Uncle Seth lately? Come on now. All right. But Pulse Chain could be on this list sooner than later, but I think what's happening is, like real talk, Richard Hart is sandbagging to make sure that he can launch. Like he's trying to not catch a falling knife or perfectly time the bottom, but he's trying to approximately time the bottom to launch when there's bottom support for a couple of main projects like Bitcoin and Ethereum, to then be able to achieve a token valuation and a fully diluted valuation of that network at full bottom support. It's that simple. And once that happens, it's like nowhere to go but up, right? So, Richard Hart's another one of those guys. You can like him or love him, but you can't really hate him. He's trying to get people to love to hate him, and it's a losing game, right? Like why invest that time? It's weird, but like he may be right. That might be the right strategy, or whatever. It's still just a huge risk, like it always was, because there's so many layer ones like Avalanche subnets and Polygon supernets, and and Polygon and Avalanche themselves and BSC that are just continuing to assist in L1 scaling of sidechain scaling of Ethereum, right? They don't necessarily need that much help right now, as we're seeing on the main L1 from TX Street numbers, right? Like the gas fees are really low right now. So to say, we're going to save you gas. Well, how much is gas right now? It's $1. We're going to, so I can pay what, 15 cents instead of $1? Like it sounds good. But in crypto, it kind of matters to us a little bit less, right? So anyway, oh my gosh, ranting less actually got lower views here on the concurrent views. Guys, don't go anywhere. Do I need to rant more? I do. I need to be all fire. Then we need to turn this into like a televangelist show, right? Like, okay, hold on. Guys, next topic, politics, then religion. Okay. Dig Deep Miner asks, Mind Your Biz, did you sacrifice for Pulse Chain? I don't talk about my bags in detail, but yeah, I did sacrifice a little bit for Pulse Chain. A little bit. Like, don't invest more than you're willing to lose, right? And so I view that as a sunk cost. It's gone, lost, don't care. But I don't subscribe to the sunk cost fallacy where I'm going to say like, well, Pulse Chain's going to destroy everything else. It has to. My bags. Water under the bridge. If it launches, great. If it launches successfully, even better. If it doesn't launch at all, who cares? Water under the bridge. It's gone. I do have capital that I set aside and dry powder that I set aside for other stuff to more actively manage. But stuff like that, what are you going to do? You can't. You can't do that. You can't let yourself get caught up. So here on Proof of Stake Smart Contracts, Solana, Avalanche, high on the list. Tron still high on the list. It's crazy, but Justin Sun continues to make the media rounds and get a bunch of attention there. Phantom also really high. BNB high because of, I suspect, Binance Smart Chain. So what do we see here? We see out of the top 5 that 3 of the top 5 are EVM chains. And Tron, again, if we're being honest about it, it's just different enough that it's not an EVM chain, but it still runs Solidity contracts. You can still use a Solidity compiler. It's still functionally like an EVM clone. It's just not an EVM layer 1 that's designed for Ethereum scaling. So we could sort of say it's like 3.5 EVM chains that are in the top 5. And then there's Solana. But like retail is wrong and VCs are wrong. And we saw that with Terra Luna. Now, mostly because of the UST problem and the Anchor protocol. But we've seen VCs and we've seen retail be dead wrong about the number one pick, haven't we? So I suspect also that we're going to see a bit of a problem with Solana in the future, possibly the distant future. But we're still looking at 1/10 the market cap of Ethereum, right? For it to be able to, yeah. Anything for clicks says Sun must be really be pouring in a lot of capital to keep that price up. It's very possible. So when we go over to the and you guys have heard my conspiracy theory on the last stream about the USDD stablecoin, which is a copy of Anchor Protocol and UST, but at a much lower market cap. I suspect that's exactly what's going on right now, that there are some so-called pumpamentals between Tron and USDD, and that Justin Sun is actually like, maybe he's not the personal beneficiary in terms of like massive pumping and pulling out profits, but bare minimum, he's preventing his net worth from being shredded, like destroyed by inflation between this current lending protocol, USDD, and then Tron being able to like create a perpetual pump machine, not too dissimilar from how Hex was a perpetual pump machine during its minting phase, and UST. Technically a perpetual pump machine for those who got in early and knew how to divest their profits. So yeah, I think you're right. I think that he's very much invested in getting this USDD thing to operate within a certain range so he can take profits in plain sight, right? Like, and have people not question it too much. I've probably said too much, haven't I? Jeez, I'm pretty unfiltered most of the time, aren't I? Well, here's the thing. I know nothing about Hillary Clinton and or Juicelane Maxey or Joffrey the Obscene giraffe. So don't worry about it. I don't know anything important. I'll just obviously moving back into the main content here, though, guys. So 3.5 of 5 are EVM chains. Then we got Wax. Look at that. Chaser, Wax is a chaser, then Cosmos Hub. I do think that this is kind of settling into, in my mind, where the picks matter most. It is going to be EVM chains that are in support of Ethereum that lead the next run-up. Why? Because when the Beacon Chain merge happens, yeah. Gordon Murray, please don't go missing. Here's the thing, man. They'll yeah. If I were taken against my will, they'd be like, all right, we need to question this guy. And I'd be like, guys, okay, let's talk about whatever. And before you know it, we'd be like gabbing about like sacred geometry and structured water and adding magnetic polarity to the reverse osmosis system of your home water like treatment plan. I would just tire them out, is what I'm saying. In the first 3 days of talking, we would just like talk about whatever, and they'd be like, okay, this guy knows nothing of any importance, and he's driving us all insane. So, catch and release, basically. Catch and release. Be like a fish. Little, maybe a little hole in my mouth from the hook, but I'd be all right. I'd be okay. They'd let me swim again. All right, so Cosmos Hub also chasing those leaders right there, but I think this is going to be largely how the next run-up plays out. And I think that the dark horse, exactly as we're seeing in these rankings right now, is Polkadot. I think there is going to be a lot more development on Polkadot than we suspect right now. And Polkadot will become a dominant force from the back of the market. Thankfully, it's on sale, right? That's the greatest thing about this market, is that Polkadot may be one of those great things to watch. Cardano also, right? Going to be one of those great things to watch. And Polygon. I think there's a lot of people who are jumping out of these strong fundamental projects. Latrell says minus some fingernails. No, I mean, I have fingernails. Just like, I would have fingernails plus. There's some bamboo reinforcements underneath. It'd be great, man. The $6 million man here, but the low tech version with bamboo. Yeah. We don't die, we multiply. Adding strength. So Polygon, Cardano, Polkadot, I can't believe I'm saying it, but as proof of stake projects go, Polkadot and Cardano, since they came out of the leadership team of Ethereum, they probably have stronger fundamentals than I give them credit for. Probably. The technical innovation that I'm seeing come out of them is not as high as I'd like. Polygon is doing a heck of a lot more, right? The NFT ecosystem, the play-to-earn ecosystems, they are totally dependent on Polygon. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. The mining ecosystem, any of us who were mining Ethereum over the last year had to take profits on Polygon. And again, I've been saying it for that long. Like, Polygon is going to become in my mind, it's already largely synonymous with Ethereum. So, it's like when the merge happens, it's going to be like, oh, cool. So just keep using Polygon, basically, because gas fees haven't decreased on the main L1 Ethereum, and I am no longer incentivized to help miners by using Ethereum. Yeah, it's just I'm not going to see a lot of the upside with using the main L1 chain because so many services now support Polygon anyway. So Gordon Murray says, I wish I hadn't sold my Cardano last year. Might go back in. Well, here's the thing, man. The market might give you the opportunity to find that really good reentry point. And I'm starting to see that now. And I want to make sure that I don't turn my back on Cardano or Polkadot now. ZIL, I've got less confidence in. I don't know that it matters quite as much. There's not quite as much development happening on ZIL. So it's here. It's got a position in the stacked ranking, but I don't think that having this sale here is going to be as beneficial to us. Gallo asks, what happens to parallel chains like Polygon when sharding in Ethereum happens? That's a brilliant question, because when sharding happens on the main L1 Ethereum, that's precisely when we actually see scale on Ethereum. But that's roadmapped for a long time into the future. And you're going to see ETH maxis, diehard ETH maxis, claim that like that's going to kill, right? Avalanche and Binance Smart Chain and Polygon and Phantom, right? All those four in particular. Those four they're going to be destroyed. But Avalanche and Polygon are already creating these subnets and these supernets to create a de facto sharding system within their ecosystems well before Ethereum can launch that. So the horizontal scaling, the parallel scaling of Ethereum will take place long before the Ethereum core developers ever launch sharding. Like, that's the unfortunate reality for them, is they just aren't, they're so behind that game, and they've got way too much happening on the main L1 that, their former mantra of like move fast and break things, they're totally not doing that anymore. Like, not at all. Right? Like, we see this. They can't afford to move fast and break things when you got tens of billions of dollars worth of stable coins that, we suspect are actually backed by US dollars or, whatever, institutional paper, whatever else, like actual backed dollars. That when you've got tens of billions of dollars deposited there, you cannot afford to move fast and break things. When you've got all of the NFT, like blue chip NFTs, air quotes, riding on Ethereum, you can't afford to move fast and break things. But when you've got these very simple bridges for NFTs and for ERC20s over to Polygon, and then the supernets on Polygon being able to support full transfer of those ERC20s, ERC721s, ERC1155s, when there's support for all that. Sorry, I heard a French horn. One of my children is doing their Saturday rehearsal right now, Saturday practice right now. It's got me off guard because French horn sounds so much like a human voice. I'm like, is that a dude in my house? Like, what's going on here? But so yeah, it's Gordon Murray says stablecoin backed by Costco hot dog is the best idea ever. Yeah, it probably would be. We'll see. Yeah, $1.50 is the new dollar. But yeah, just to say that like the horizontal scaling, the parallel scaling has already happened. Like the revolution already happened and it was televised and we were part of it, right? Polygon was part of that scaling revolution. All right, so Tokamak network is also becoming less relevant. We got that market cap just bleeding out. Chainlink, again, we got a lot of the stuff that's on sale here down below the line. The top 5, I don't think are going to actually be the most impactful or most important. Binance Smart Chain, I think we're going to take a look at some articles in a little bit. I think it's going to have more of an impact than we realize. I think that CZ over at Binance has a much longer vision than most of us realized. And I think that there's a reason that when we take a look at DeFi Llama, for example, there's a reason that we see Binance and Binance Smart Chain in that number 2 spot right behind Ethereum for EVM-based DeFi solutions. So that trend is going to continue, I suspect, for a long time. MC is in the chat saying, hey, brothers, long time, been on the road. Nice. Glad to see MC in the chat. Thanks for being here with us live. So, yeah, just saying, this leaderboard, I think, is going to shift. It's going to shift a bit in the future. Solana, when people finally wake up and realize, oh, hey, this validator instability and the lack of decentralization is a problem for us. We're not censorship resistant. And even just artists, right? Who, whatever, let's just say you're kind of an edgy artist who does avant-garde stuff that touches on really controversial themes. you could be totally shut down by Solana, the Solend platform. And there was a video over on speak of the devil. We got a contributor in the chat right now that over on Simple Crypto, there was a great piece done about the Solend controversy on Solana. Please do check it out. I need to start linking that from our channel here. They are a partner channel, and I love their 10-minute tactical hot takes on some of this stuff. But Solana is too centralized, even just for NFTs. It's too centralized and censorship prone, even just for NFTs, in my opinion. Let's just say you're a controversial artist that talks about like political themes or talks about, just in a crazy way, like something like sexuality, right? Like if that's part of the themes of NFTs on Solana, what we see now, it can totally be shut down. It can totally be censored. There may be people who cause serious problems for you in the future. So guys, definitely appreciate our view count right now. Thank you so much for being here and being subscribed. I'm thoroughly flattered and impressed that we've got this huge community tuning in to Mind Your Biz right now. Do be sure that you hit that like button, okay? YouTube loves to see all of the views paired with likes. And you know what? Makes me feel pretty good too, but it's for YouTube. Do it for the the algorithm. That's what we're doing. All right. Jumping out of the way here, guys. Yeah, I think the smart contract networks, Terra Luna Classic had this most recent run up last week. What does that mean? It means you were still very, very smart to leave it alone, not touch it, pretend like it's dead, and like go about your day, go about your business, not experience FOMO, because this is how you get wrecked. You see a chart like that and you tell yourself like, oh, but maybe I could have like gotten a 400% profit. No, don't touch it. It's radioactive. Like really stay away from it. You can't see it, but it will kill you. Like it'll kill your profits, right? Don't touch it. Yeah. Just throwing that out there again. Reminder, internet computer. When I do see any kind of articles coming out about stuff that's being built on ICP, I get really mixed emotions because there it is still existing as well. But Gobbles the 13th Goblin says, at least we know you have ad revenue, Mind Your Biz. Yeah, it's crazy. I've never had YouTube prompt me so much to run ads like that. So there you go. But YouTube is saying like, you should run an ad. Okay, I guess I'll run an ad. Thanks YouTube. Thanks for looking out. Good job. But anyway, Neo also kind of coming back from the dead with a full rebase of their code. That's maybe something that we might want to investigate at some point, though I'm less likely to do so. Moonriver and Kusama, again, part of that Polkadot ecosystem. Kusama's great as a testnet, but we do need to see stuff actually launch on main Polkadot parachains, right? So Parity needs to actually give these things the time of day and list them as properly supported projects. But we've been talking about proof of stake smart contracts for a little bit too long. Let's jump into the junk drawer. See that Saitama Inu. I think we discovered that we own far too much of the market cap for that to be real. PFC Wells says there was just an ad playing during this live stream. Yes, there was, and I don't dare do that too much because I worry about the bounce rate of having too many ads played during a live stream, but that was a very interesting thing to see happen. So thanks, YouTube, for looking out. Junk Drawer shows Saitama Inu, Everrise, Floki Inu, Luffy, and Dogelon Mars as our top 5. If you hold any of these, you're probably still in the money, but only by a little bit if it's Dogelon Mars. Luffy, you should still be in the money by quite a bit based on our acquisition time and our acquisition price. Same with Saitama Inu. If you were able to get in at the time that we got in, but we functionally got it at the day of launch. Nobody is making this kind of a return right now, and I think we need to investigate whether or not this is even running anymore. I think this could just be a bit of a farce. There we go. So recently migrated from an old contract to a new one, and yeah, there could be something that's a little bit off right now in terms of showing how much the max supply is, but the 24-hour trading volume is just insane. Bubba Smith is saying, get Brave browser, never any ads. You could do that. You could also just install a free browser application or a free browser plugin called uBlock Origin, spelled U, the letter U, block Origin. That is the free and open source code base that Brave forks and integrates into their browser. It's not unique. It's not special. You can get ad block for free, and support the original development team by installing uBlock Origin. Let me just be very clear about that. Use any browser you want. If it's Chromium based, you can install uBlock Origin. If it's based on Firefox, you can install uBlock Origin. You don't have to install Brave. They're okay. I'm not saying they're bad, but you don't have to do that. Just throwing it out there. So Saitama Inu is, I guess it's real. It's really actually still there. It's that I thought for sure maybe we were thrown off by the last couple of things, and the Uniswap charts they're looking real also. 24-hour volume is high. LBank though, I think this is the real deal. This is where we're seeing that manipulation. This is where we're seeing that price be propped up, is on a centralized exchange like LBank. So again, taking a deeper dive into this one. Whew. Yeah, this is another one of those little like pumpamental best kept secrets. But LBank is keeping that price propped way up. The junk drawer is still, though, it's doing great. It's doing the best of any side of our portfolio. Memes never die, right? That's the thing. They never, ever die. But moving down to the bottom of the list in the junk drawer, we see that Hex is way down from our acquisition price. It's already down by 31%. So if you are a Hexican and you're watching this, I guess my condolences. Everdome is down also from our acquisition price, which for me makes me really sad because I had high hopes for their metaverse. And then especially with the Fame token that was going to go into the Everdome metaverse. Looks like Fame, Maximus DAO, and Hedron show the deepest cuts, not to P&L, but they're at the bottom of the list. So let's go to our 7-day performance and see how it stacks up there. 7-day performance, Hedron is tops. So same as, so is Voltino. Sorry guys, I'm a little off there. Voltino, Ampleforth, UFO Gaming, and Rug Zombie. They're up this week, but only 2 of those are actually in the profit based on our P&L holdings. Volt Inu might be, but we didn't actually do a proper entry, and it looks like it's experiencing some manipulation on the 7-day chart. So be aware of that. Junk drawer, get out of here. We're going to see the IBC gang. IBC gang, what's up? What you got? Cadena in the money. Everything else in the red, hardcore red. Obviously, Terra Luna at the bottom of that list, getting absolutely shredded. Akash Network on fire sale, though. And here's something that's interesting to me, and I know that I need to do this deep dive as well, just for our channel. I might do this in a more tactical way. Let me know if you want me to do a whiteboard video on this, or if you want me to just do like this, a talking head video where I do some comparisons between Akash Network and Flux Network. I think that these two projects, based on the utility that they offer, are going to be projects to watch in the proof of work space, and then in the IBC space, where you've got pretty solid consensus with the Tendermint protocol and really great interchain composability with the IBC, right? So inter-blockchain communication. Cosmos has built something very special, actually. And I think a lot of the proof of work ecosystem, like myself, like we're just starting to really catch on to what they've actually built, because that atomic swap composability as a primitive for a blockchain is really important. Galo Salome says it should be a talking head video. Appreciate that. Paul D asks, should I plant strawberries or raspberries for my miner prepper garden? That's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. We need to come up with a really good miner prepper garden diagram and workflow. We can do some whiteboarding for that. And I mean like diagramming using like diagram.net or like in-person whiteboarding. Still be a talking head. We should go over that for at-home aquaponics. So aquaponic gardens, as well as keeping warm during winter months, because I suspect the economic downturn and the crypto winter will flow through the actual, right? The calendar winter, the winter, right? The winter season. So being able to grow indoors in preparation for a potential long-term economic hardship, pretty strong move. And you only need even 1 kilowatt of mining gear at home would help warm a fairly large grow tent if it's set up correctly, right? Or an aquaponic system. Even when you have freezing temperatures outdoors, you can craft something that is a great way to keep growing year round. And I suspect, based on current economic conditions, that would be super helpful. Even if it isn't helpful for you, could be helpful for your immediate community, your family, and your friends. So it's a great question there. All right. Oh man, I just wasted all of 3 seconds to swig some of this drink. PFC Well says, yep, it's going to be a double freeze. Double winter. Yeah, man. Absolutely. So, all right. Hey, Gallo says, whiteboard will take too long to edit, sir. I appreciate that, guys. I will get something together for Flux versus Akash. The teams themselves have, like Greg Osuri from Akash Network and Daniel Keller from Flux Network, both agreed publicly that they would do it. And then I was surprised that Daniel Keller backed out. I'm not sure why that would be the case. I think for proof of work, I'm going to stand by this opinion of mine that Flux Network is the place to point your GPUs. When Ethereum finally cuts everybody off, I think that Flux is the project to support with proof of work. And when it comes to setting up smaller nodes that do decentralized compute hosting, decentralized cloud, I think that Akash offers something that is also a huge value add. So if you have a machine like a server where you can run a couple of VMs, why not have one VM pointed at Flux Network and one VM pointed at Akash, right? Provision for Akash Network. I can see huge benefit to both, and it's still too early to pick a winner there, in my opinion. So I'm inclined to support both. So I want to go over the features, advantages, and benefits of both with you guys on a separate video. It's a little more tactical, still be a talking head. Appreciate the feedback there, but it will be a little bit shorter. All right, so looking back at this list, though, we've got Akash Network on sale. This is fire sale, 92% down since we put that entry into this portfolio. And same with Sentinel, which offers a decentralized VPN. Now, I've struggled to get Sentinel working on any of my phones. So I've tried it on a couple of unmodified phones. I've got a test iPhone that I keep here in the studio. Don't worry, guys. I literally put it into a Faraday bag at all times when I'm not using it, because Apple likes to create its own little mesh networks and spy on you if you don't literally keep it in a Faraday bag. And then I've got an unmodified Android device that I've tried installing the Sentinel DVPN on. And then, of course, I've got my de-Googled devices, which you can find at mineyourbiz/phone. And I've tried installing Sentinel VPNs on those, and I've struggled to get them to run consistently and reliably on any of those devices. I'm not sure what's going on there, because they do have a really long server list that is in support of their decentralized VPN, but there is some type there's some deployment layer of their VPN network that I've struggled to get to connect. So I don't know what's going on there, but I do want to investigate more. Sentinel has a really cool idea, though, and that is having that decentralized infrastructure for VPNs so that you have that much more anonymity. So hopefully that works. Let's see. Gandalf Gray says, mind your biz. Isn't Solend just a dApp built on Solana, not the chain? And couldn't that same kind of dApp determination be done on any network in any other dApp? Hey, valid question. Yeah, that's true. That's true. You could have a very centralized dApp creation structure, and a lot of DAOs suffer from this problem, right? Where DAOs are far more like they're really just kind of like a Dino, right? Decentralized in name only. So that could be the case, but here's the problem. Solana also has a validator network with a track record of consistently being reset. So I think that's where a lot of the FUD is merited for Solana. But yeah, you're right. Solend, just a dApp. But take a look at that video over on Simple Crypto. You can find that by going to youtube.com/c/simplecrypto101. Easy, right? And that's a partner channel. Take a look at that. It's the first video posted there. But that is our IBC gang. You got Thorchain very much earning its place. Osmosis, the number one DEX. Comdex, you've got commodities on their own custom DEX. So gold, silver, crude oil, all being traded in an over-collateralized collateralized debt position system. So Comdex is pretty amazing. If you look up their explainer videos on YouTube or on Twitter, you're going to hear a familiar voice. I wouldn't say that I'm I'm not like a Kool-Aid drinking believer on Comdex, but I know the team, and I think that, I don't know, it's a cool project. I think that it does have legs. We'll see where it goes, though. IBC gang to Tencent Gems, guys. The Tencent ecosystem is something that I really hope will recover as well. Tencent itself, the main governance token, is doing okay, but over the last 7 days, everything else is taking a hit. The biggest hit has happened to Everdome, though. Most metaverse ecosystem projects are struggling right now. They're struggling to find their place in the world. They're struggling to help provide enough value that people will continue to invest in them long term. And I just want to say thank you again to everybody who was clearly here for the middle of the live stream And thank you for your support. Click that thumbs up. Click that subscribe on your way out. If you're just, stopping in to say hello, appreciate that. Guys, I'm going to quickly run another ad. We got some more audience here. Didn't expect to see that, but there it is. Forever Metalhead asked, can one de-Apple an iPhone? You used to be able to. It was called jailbreaking, and you could use a third-party app store, but it's not really something that's very doable now. You can't really activate an iPhone without having an Apple ID, and the Apple ID is just this governing... I mean, it basically puts the all-seeing eye onto your phone. You really can't anonymize an iPhone. A macOS device... macOS device, as far as being able to de-Apple a macOS device, like a MacBook Pro or one of these new M1 MacBooks, you can largely not de-Apple it, but you can make it more anonymous the way you use it by not signing into an iTunes account, not signing into an Apple ID. And that's possible to run it offline. You should be able to do that with any hardware, right? If it's open hardware like that. But with an iPhone, no, you can't. You can't ever take that away. So you have the network operator, so Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, etc. You have them tracking your every move, and then because you have the Apple ID tied to it, you have Apple also tracking everything that's done on the device. It's just surveillance stacked on surveillance. Apple is the worst choice for a mobile device. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to keep saying that. That's the reality. People who think it's more private, people who think somehow Apple cares more about you, they're another company. They have the exact same goal, which is earning money. And even with you paying a premium for their devices, which are well made, they're still partially manufactured by Samsung under the hood. And B, they're still primarily in the business of data aggregation. That's what mobile devices do. That's what smartphones do, is to aggregate that much more rich data about you and me. So just be aware. Apple's no better than Google in that respect. They're far worse. PFC Wells, let's see. Goblin13 Goblin asks, could you run Linux on Mac or iPhone? Yeah, you can run Linux on some Mac devices, some MacBooks. The newer M1 and M2 hardware, it's a lot harder to run Linux in a meaningful way, and you definitely can't rewrite what's called the baseband. So the firmware that runs on the system on a chip that allows it to communicate wirelessly with 5G networks. That's one of the biggest risks of the M1 hardware and the Apple Silicon line of products, is that there's always going to be a backdoor. There will be forever a backdoor on those devices because they can communicate independently to a wireless network, to a mobile network. If they were Wi-Fi only, or if you had them like hardwired only, maybe you could. So you could get like it sounds extreme almost, but you could get like one of the newer M1 Mac Minis, for example. The Unboxing Project, bro, I love your comment. Yes. The Unboxing Project says, I knew he would say that. It's true. It's unfortunate. It really makes me sad because I wish that we could see Linux compiled for ARM on a platform that rivals Apple Silicon, the M1 Silicon, and hardware that rivals it in a meaningful way for setting up a test bench and benchmarking, but without the added hardware spying layer of having a black box baseband system on a chip. Why can't we have this? Why can't we have those nice things? Like a Raspberry Pi, but with, a processor that has real guts. You know what I mean? If we could have that to be able to rival a Mac Mini, like an M1 Mac Mini, I would love that, right? I would totally use something like that as my daily driver. I currently, on my main workstation, I still run Linux as the daily driver. I have to use Windows for other stuff, but I would love to see that. Unfortunately, yeah, that's the compromise right now with the Apple Silicon on Mac OS or Mac Minis, MacBooks, any member of the Mac ecosystem. They're trying to create an M1 or M2 Mac Pro that will allow for an open PCI Express slot or whatever else, some customizability. They're going to struggle to do it, but when they do solve that problem, everybody's totally screwed, basically. As soon as Apple solves that problem, they're totally screwed. Forever Metalhead asks about the iPhone, though, and yeah, iPhones can't do that. Says, can all Android phones be de-Googled or just specific ones, let's say? Yeah, only specific phones, Android phones can be de-Googled. And then the question from before, can you run Linux on an iPhone. Not today. Not with the current iPhones. To even jailbroken, having an iPhone run Linux would be such a science experiment. It wouldn't be usable, right? You might not be able to use the system on a chip or the calling features. There are several phones like the Mind Your Biz phone that can run Linux, versions of Linux, but I found that it's so restrictive that it stops having the smartphone experience. And at that point, if you really want to just have like Linux for your daily driver, have a laptop that runs Linux and then get like a flip phone. I'm being dead serious. Get a flip phone and just don't worry about it. Don't run apps on your phone. Like I constantly run into that dilemma where I'm like, do I just go back? Like, do I try to go back to having a candy bar phone or a flip phone, something that does not run an added data aggregation layer on it? Yes, it's still got the baseband firmware. Yes, it's still got, a forever like little homing beacon that I walk around with, but it's not also running apps that can listen in on me, and wiretap at inconvenient times. So, it's a tough problem to solve. The unboxing project, I'm going to decode this a little bit, he says, think the Windows subsystem for Linux 2 would run on Win Server OS in a Hackintosh, Server OS on an M1 bare metal, i.e. Linux in Win subsystem on Apple Gear, LOL. Whew, I mean, yeah, it would. It should, but at that point, so here's the funny thing. When the Swift programming ecosystem or Swift programming came to Linux and Apple first allowed for Swift to run on Linux, I tried installing it for the Ubuntu Windows subsystem for Linux, and it ran. Just didn't run fully, right? Because they want you to develop Swift on Apple hardware. So you got these compromises. Then at that point, it's like, okay, if you're developing for iOS or for Mac OS, you do have to buy into the ecosystem. That's the reality. You're stuck. You have to buy it, but don't breathe it in. Don't make it your daily driver for personal use. Make it your development box, and then leave it the F alone. Right? Like just step away when it's time to step away. So let's see. Paul D says somebody got Android or Linux running on like an iPhone 5. It was an ancient phone. Yeah, that's exactly right. There are some examples of that in the wild, but there's such a science experiment that the average user couldn't do it. Guys, there are numerous guides showing you how to secure your Pixel device the way that I flashed the Mind Your Biz phone. The Mind Your Biz phone is literally, it's just like Graphene OS or Calyx OS or Lineage OS being flashed onto it. And there are multiple guides showing you how to do this if you're more of a DIYer. And I'm not offended if you want to go do that yourself and you don't want us to do it. That's fine. Really. That's the whole idea, is that it's something you should be able to validate and verify yourself and not just trust other people to do. It should be that simple. And it is with many Android phones. So that's why, people can get all mad and stuff, but iPhone is just not as private. It's not as open. It's not as flexible. And it can't even be fully de-Googled in a way, right? Like Google is still the default search provider, right? And you still you get Siri, who will fetch some results from Google for you, right? So you don't get away from Google by being on Apple, and you don't get away from surveillance at all by being on Apple. Let that notion go. You might have a nice camera, but guess what? So do all Sony phones, because Sony makes amazing image sensors, right? They're known for this. And so does OnePlus. I think, what is it? Not the OnePlus. Now ZTE even has it's like a 40 megapixel camera on one of either the selfie camera or the other way around. They're pretty crazy. Let's see. The unboxing says, wait, how did you manage to port PSTN features in Kali? What? I'm a little bit confused, actually. If I said something that indicated that I have ported PSTN features in Kali, I didn't mean to, because I don't think I have. So, but I appreciate the clarifying question, because I would have been confused too if I thought I'd said that. All right, so, wow, guys, rabbit holes. Thanks so much. Appreciate that. That's a rant that I could repeat that every day. And I will. I'll continue to repeat that all the time. Apple's not your friend for privacy. They don't give two craps about your privacy. They don't. Anybody who believes that's the case, here's the thing also. Every company in North America also flew a multicolored flag this last month. Did they really care about the group they were pretending to care about? No, they are corporations. Their goal is to make money in whatever business vertical they make money in, right? You can't just believe any corporation because it claims to value something during a certain period of time where it's convenient to value that thing, right? Like an Apple saying they value your privacy. Psh, no, they don't ever, let alone, during privacy month or whatever month. So anyway, just saying, they do not care. All right, guys, that's the 10 set gems. Quickly take a look at the stables, see how they compare right now. There's always going to be this bit of maybe an arbitrage opportunity, but mostly a teaching opportunity. USDD has maintained its peg back up to 99 cents, but it's still under $1 billion total value. Over the last 7 days, it did have a little dip down. It looks like several stables did. Pax Dollar, True USD, Frax. We had a bit of a blip right there to the downside on USD coin as well. In fact, the only one that seemed to be somewhat spared was Tether in terms of high market cap, but it's still we've got a red candle that correlates to the same dip across all the rest of them. Paul D says the decline of OnePlus makes me sad. Well, here's the thing: the Solana phone is literally just a OnePlus 10 Pro, and anybody who pretends that the Solana phone is some kind of massive innovation is they've either been fooled or they are lying. They're trying to toe the marketing line to get you to buy a OnePlus 10 Pro with Solana's OS on it. Just get a OnePlus. If you like them, get a OnePlus and put Lineage OS on it. Run whatever mobile wallet you want. Oh, Gobbles throws down a $2 super chat, says, for you, Uncle Seth, much love and stay awesome. Thanks, man. Really appreciate that, Gobbles. Let's see. The Unboxing Project says, but the rainbow Twitter flag was a false flag? In a matter of speaking, yes. Yes, all flags matter. All right. Oh my gosh. I can't believe I said that, guys. That was actually super insensitive. That was kind of messed up. Not going to lie. All right, so the Unboxing Project says they drank the soul Kool-Aid. Yeah, guys, just get whatever phone you think is best, but do some research to make sure that you can change the software. If you can't change the software, you don't really own it. And the same is true for the software on your laptop. If you can't really change the software, you don't really own it. The software owns you. It's running data aggregation subroutines on you. So, it's a game of chess. Be 2 steps ahead. But here's our stablecoin breakdown. Looks like Terra Classic USD wasn't affected either. Yeah, totally decorrelated, for better for worse. Everything else had that dip though, and my apologies, I don't fully understand what that blip was from. Let's see. Yeah, guys, sorry, I did make that joke in poor taste a minute ago. That's not me, and that's not that's not how I roll. But it seemed appropriate about flags, but the rest of it, I'm a little too far. But yeah, it looks like that USDD has finally stabilized. And again, our conversation about Tron. I think there's a strong correlation between Justin Sun's net worth, wanting to maintain and preserve some of his net worth, pouring some of it into this ecosystem, and then maintaining the peg for this as well as Tron. So propping up that price. Got Huobi, KuCoin, and Uniswap that are all trading here, but you got how much of the volume on a decentralized exchange, on a decentralized protocol? Basically none. So the transparency score for this coin is basically none, less than 1%. Ouch. But this also doesn't add up either. You got 3% here, 4, 6, 4. Where is the rest of the volume coming from? So yeah, I really, really don't get that. Let's see. What do we got here? Why am I drawing blank? I'm drawing blank on the, there we go. That's what it is. Nomics. Jeez. Let's go to Nomics and take a look at USDD here. All right. Here's a cool trick. Now, I mentioned before the ad block that I use. I'm going to right click. There's block element from uBlock origin. You should be able to see some of this live. Yeah, you see that live. I don't like that little ad space there, so I'm going to say create, and it just deleted it. And it will maintain that little registry of getting rid of that visual element every time I come back. Same with this. I don't like that. I don't want you to advertise to me because I don't need you to advertise to me. Well, wrong pick. There we go. I'll pick again and create. Boom, deleted. Okay, guys, the internet is just a bunch of front-end code. You can, this is the Matrix, and we are all Neo. So scrolling on down, well, don't need to. Go to USDD. Ooh, there it is. USDD. Why is this not? Yeah, okay. Nope, same one. And its score is a C. Transparency score is a C. Transparent volume is 43%. And I want to see, maybe there's more transparent volume on Binance Smart Chain and PancakeSwap. Maybe that's where it actually does get something of a pass. So we'll go over to its markets, where it's traded. And Huobi Global gets a C. KuCoin gets a C. Everything else gets a C. Nice one, Copper Top. Yeah, appreciate that. Oh, man. Is that terrible? You totally show your age when you're like, yeah, it's the Matrix, bro. Yeah, I know. That movie it used to be cool. That ecosystem used to be cool. What the heck? Where did the dudes who made that go? Why doesn't that franchise have balls anymore? All right, so Huobi Global, top of that list. Gate.io actually gets a pass. It gets that A right there, and it does have a bit of volume. So, okay, we didn't see Gate.io or Poloniex with that really. Oh, it's got the price impact, not the trading volume. But the volume is relatively high there, so I can see that maybe being a little bit better. Still, you got these lower confidence score exchanges accounting for 40% of the volume, 50% of the volume. More? So yeah, you got 50% of the volume on USDD possibly being wash traded or being kept on centralized exchanges where we cannot validate or verify certain supply amounts. And maybe we have less on-chain data to actually prove what's happening. So interesting. We got an API coming out of those, but it's always possible that backdoor deals have been done to manipulate the data coming out of those exchanges as it relates to USDD. So interesting. Forever Metalhead says, any suggestions on non-KYC exchanges with minimal data required, aka just an email to log in? The EU regulations getting crazy. Bonus points if it has XMR listed. So we got a couple things, guys, and I've stayed consistent here for a long time. If you know, Trade Ogre, right? Trade Ogre is a phenomenal exchange, KYC light, if there's ever any KYC, and it does support Monero very, very well with good depth on Monero. Then you also have Conga Exchange. I reviewed them. They're part of the Tencent ecosystem. Do they have native XMR support? No, but they have a lot of other trading pairs, and they are KYC light. You can KYC with a corporation too, with an LLC, so you don't have to just dox yourself. Now, the caveat there is you must KYC yourself before you KYC your business. But then all of the transactions, if you have your crypto assigned to a corporation or to an LLC, all those trades are assigned to that corporation or to that LLC. So if that's the way you like to operate IRL, right, like with your business dealings and with your net worth and with your cash flow, then you already understand the power of doing that, right? The relative anonymity and power of doing that. So yeah, Trade Ogre is great, but here's the thing, it is easy to forget because it doesn't have infinite liquidity. So for everything that Trade Ogre doesn't help you with, consider Conga Exchange. There is an affiliate link down in the description of this video. I feel that strongly about it that I will continue to talk about it because they've towed the line there. They're not part of the EU officially. There are some there's some interesting aspects to Conga Exchange because they're based in Poland. So Poland, for example, is not a Euroized country. They operate on the Polish zloty instead of the euro or the dollar or the pound or whatever else. So they've got a slightly different relationship to the EU and to EU regulations. And so yeah, they've been able to toe the line. They're much more financially sovereign than some other EU member states. So that's important to know as well. You got to know jurisdictions because, like you said, we're always at the mercy of politicians who are trying to move the goalposts on us. But yeah, Conga Exchange, and for a lot of trading pairs, and then Trade Ogre. KuCoin is coming up in the conversation as well, and let's see. KuCoin also, yeah, that's where you can get some Tron pairs and some Tron based coins as well. So between those three, you should be able to do it. I have had lower confidence in KuCoin. I don't mean to FUD them, but I've had lower confidence in KuCoin than with some of the others. But yeah, you may be right there as well. Those three would be a top of the list as far as KYC light, at least, if not KYC free, within what I think are reasonable limits. In the same way that some people might say, like, hey, you might only want 10 of a certain thing. And I say, no, I want 30 of a certain thing. What I think is reasonable, what I think is common sense, may be different from other people who want to restrict what reasonable and common sense are. And I think that's true of KYC as well. I think that reasonable and common sense are a much higher limit than most other people believe. Because I want to do what I want to do. The Unboxing Project says you don't have to KYC with Exodus, right? No, you do have to KYC with the partner platforms that Exodus is contracted with. Exodus does not have an exchange. They use third-party exchanges. The same is true of Ledger and Ledger Live. Guys, don't be fooled. There are exchanges, and then there are wallets and platforms for holding your keys and your coins. They're different. So yeah, Ledger and Exodus are not exchanges. They work with partner exchanges. Be aware of who they work with, and of course. And just go direct. Don't bother using their platform. They're just going to take a little fee for referring you to that. But anyway, yeah. Forever Metalhead, XMR, not XRP. Did you actually write XRP? No, you didn't. Yeah, dang, man. Yeah, I was going to say, oof. Ledger Live. Yeah, guys, just be careful. They don't have exchanges. They'll make it seem like they do because they want to get a referral fee, which is great. But their business model is to sell you hardware. You don't owe them anything more. Like, really, go direct. But yeah, USDD, this kind of says a lot, right? The transparency score of USDD is cause for concern, but I've been saying, be wary of it from day one anyway. But it's here in the lineup just so we can take a look at that, guys. Hey, bring in your questions so we can do Q&A as we continue along the rest of our live stream. I'm going to pull up a couple of news articles we can take a look at as well, and then maybe use that as a basis for conversation. I love spending the time with you guys. I do not have a whole lot of time this afternoon or this morning. I guess we're just nearing the lunch hour in Los Angeles. Forever Metalhead drops a 99-cent or a €1 super chat with a heart face open mouth emoji. Appreciate that. Thanks so much for sending it over. B. Baker says, Ledger isn't anonymous? I didn't say Ledger isn't anonymous. I said Ledger Live, their desktop software, isn't anonymous. And that's true. You don't need to use their software to commit any of your transactions. You don't really need to connect to their software for much. If you're using it correctly, then Ledger should only ever touch your the web interface of, say, like MetaMask or Rabby Wallet, which I've talked about, or with others that are web plugins that are, yeah. Hey, Dig Deep Miners hitting them weights. Do it. Get it, boy. It's awesome, man. Yeah, appreciate you tuning in with us live. Let's see. Yeah, so yeah, I would just be really, really careful, guys, with the way you use your hardware wallets. There's a reason that Trezor is kind of preferred with that open source stack and not having to connect to a software suite all the time to use it that can potentially run analytics. Miguel Baez says, any promo codes for Ledger? Well, I don't know that I have a promo code right now. I'll work on that, guys. I should be able to if I talk to Ledger. As it is right now, what I've got is an affiliate link. So I'll talk to Ledger to see about getting a special promo for the Mind Your Biz community, because yeah, that does seem appropriate. But I'll see what I can do there. Don't have anything yet. If I do, I'll make sure that it's forwarded to from ledger.myb.lol, so you can bookmark that if you want. Let's see. Forever Metalhead says, wait, since you purchased a hardware wallet to your name, address, credit card, etc., doesn't that mean you are doxxed? It could. It might. So there are a couple of workarounds there as well. We don't have full time to go through all of that, but you can. You can always have it sent to your work address without your name. You can set up an ephemeral credit card address if you want to, get a burner credit card, use a prepaid credit card. You can pay with crypto, and you can use one of these KYC-free exchanges to send Bitcoin out to a freshly provisioned wallet that you've never touched for anything else and buy with that. There are a number of ways that you can help to anonymize your purchase, but you do have to think about it like a game of chess. Think a few steps ahead, right? And think, okay, could this de-anonymize me? Could that de-anonymize me? Could that de-anonymize me? Work through those problems and work backwards like you just did. Like my name and my address. my credit card number or whatever the form of payment is. Like, in what ways could I be de-anonymized? And then try to solve those problems. Being doxxed, a lot. Any one of us who did write or who did purchase any of these hardware wallets and did get it sent directly to our homes were doxxed, like directly. Rit Split says the wallet addresses don't exist till you get the wallet and set it up. That's not true. You could use a desktop wallet for a short-term purchase. Like you could set up just Bitcoin Core, or you could set up a light Bitcoin client, or you could use Exodus Wallet on the desktop briefly to send some money from an exchange, whatever, the $75 or $80 that you need to send over to Ledger to then get the wallet. You could do that. I mean, it's a short-term thing. It's no more risky than leaving your coins on exchange. I'll put it that way. See, Unboxing Project is saying, out here cleaning pollen off my rigs, jamming Jim Mine Your Biz and the solar crypto mining shed. Nice. That's awesome, man. I appreciate you bringing me out to the shed with you. That's fun times. Okay, let's see. What do we got here by way of additional stuff coming in? Forever Metalhead is currently looking at creating an air-gapped Raspberry Pi as a buddy tipped me off today. Air-gapped Raspberry Pi is great for a lot of things. It's great for, say, 3D printing devices and for various other tools that you might want to use that you wouldn't want to have connected to the internet for any reason. So yeah, all kinds of reasons to have an air-gapped Raspberry Pi running a very usable version of Linux for general purpose use, which is, again, why I would love to see, Raspberry Pis with more guts, right? More muscle. Let's see. Taking a look at our current DeFi Llama stats. Ethereum is up at 63%, but let's go ahead and add all of our filters. I really loved adding all the filters last time. So we'll include staking. Let's see what that does. Kind of right sizes. No, maintains that 63%. All right, come on now. Let's include pool 2. And let's include borrows. All right. Because that shouldn't affect the TVL too wildly. It kind of does, though. It does push it out of the favor of Ethereum and more towards other protocols. Look at BSC as a 2 spot, or in terms of TVL. Avalanche still with a ton of TVL there. Tron, Auto, Solana, Polygon. But again, in my mind, guys, I hate to make it that weird. Solana is not a viable option for me. I'm gonna in my mind just view this the EVM leaderboard as like the primary leaderboard. Tron also, in my mind, just not a good bet. So we're going to eliminate all the others, and I'm going to look at my top 5 for EVM. It adds Chronos to that lineup, and it edges Phantom out, right? So interestingly, Phantom is out. Polygon is up higher in the top 5. These 5, I think, are the ones to watch, or this list is the one to watch. And then we can look at Parachains and Cosmos independently. But I'm not taking Solana very seriously, and I'm not taking Tron very seriously. Personally, that's my approach. You guys can do that however you want to. But we've got Parallel, Moonbeam, and Moonriver as the top 3. Then Akala and Astar as the rounding out the top 5. But we still don't have anything that's even come up to a $1 billion TVL figure yet. And then with Cosmos, this keeps shifting so much, but Kava still the number 1, Osmosis number 2, which is crazy to me. We can see this Osmosis number go up as there's more activity on the DEX. Terra 2 still with anything there is a wonder to me. Guys, appreciate you hitting that like, appreciate you hitting the thumbs up, appreciate you being subscribed. Thank you so much. Your support is awesome. It makes this all worthwhile. All right, that's our ecosystems there. Cost to mine 1 full Bitcoin. Currently looking at a typical 50 terahash device, and I think it's better for us to just go to 103 and keep this at 33. Just go straight for the jugular, straight up to the top of the line, the S19J Pro. This is what your target is in my mind now. If you're looking at acquiring Bitcoin mining software or hardware today, why would you go for anything less than the top of the line? Highest efficiency, heaviest hitting. In my mind, you wouldn't, right? You just wouldn't. It's not worth the risk of buying underperforming hardware when we ramp back up and when the 3 nanometer chips are shipped from Intel and from Samsung. You're going to need to have the highest performer from today to be able to compete then, in my mind. D-Miners in the chat says, what's up? Long time. Yeah, right? Appreciate you being here. Thanks so much. So yeah, this is still in my mind the direction that you have to go is top of the line. So we're still looking at $4.48 in profit per day, but that's at a 5-cent cost basis for your power. Let's get real and let's go to 14 cents per kilowatt hour. Now we are in the red. This is what most people are paying residentially as a standard, as an average, and the break even is 10 cents. So you got to get across. Let's see. Ritz Blitz is asking the S19 XP or the S19J Pro. I'm referring to the S19J Pro in this little lineup here, but just saying that because you got huge availability of the S19J Pro. You've got several that are used. You've got several that are coming onto the market, right? So people who were selling their S19J Pros for say like 10 grand a couple of months ago and successfully getting that asking price a couple of months ago, they are beginning to capitulate. You can find those cheap and at scale, right? That's what the at-home miner should be looking for. The Unboxing Project says S9's really long extension cords and not so smart neighbors beats the S19 any day. He's not wrong. He is not wrong though. Yeah. I would be very careful about that. I live in a standard ground state, so when they do figure it out, it ain't going to be pretty. Better to just get along. So, yeah, not a bad idea though. Let's take a look. 13 terahash. Let's just scale it way back and go to 1600 watts. Yeah, not awesome. You need 2-cent power, so definitely needs to be free. But yeah, 10-cent power is your break even right now, which means we've got to go across the tracks. We've got to source that 6, 7, and 8-cent power, even when you're at the most efficient side of it. But better still, fully renewable is the way to go at this point. Let's see. Ritzblitz says, how would you decide to buy the X19 XP versus the S19J Pro? The XP seems to be about 2.5 times as expensive. Yeah, right? I don't know how you would make that decision. It's a newer piece of hardware, and it's less plentiful in terms of the number of units that are considered used now that you can get a deal on. So, like, that's why I keep bringing up the S19J Pro, guys. I think the price to performance kind of is hitting that sweet spot, and I'm not quite... I'm not quite there yet. We've meandered quite a bit. Gandalf Gray, appreciate you requesting the whiteboard video on this. So I think this is also one of those things where I'd have to run some numbers and have a spreadsheet, right? Where we have some figures calculated, so we can then use that as the basis for the whiteboard convo. So I don't want to dwell too long here. Just to say that's the cost. Cost to mine on cost to our eyeballs. Rip non-sunglass wearers. Sorry about that, guys. Dark mode for the win. Okay, so we're looking at the cost of mine on a 3090 Ti. This is the very, very top of the line, the point of the spear, as it were, from NVIDIA currently. And at 14 cents per kilowatt hour power, we're bringing home less than $1 a day. Would you get this for mining today? No. Would you get it at all? Maybe, if you're a gamer. And for workstation use, the CUDA instruction set that is available on the 3090 Ti is actually no different. And the dedicated video encoding and decoding hardware on the 3090 Ti for content creators like me is literally no different than the one that ships on the 3060 or the 3050 Ti. Like, why would you go with the top of the line when you can make the bottom of the line do just as well and consume less power? So the Unboxing Project spreadsheets and whiteboards, I am home among my people here, right? How do people get by without these tools, right? It's like, man, humanity has evolved far beyond whatever else, however they live, right? But appreciate that comment. Thanks so much. Let's see. D-Miner saying, my i7 is saving me. Turned off half my cards. Wow. Okay. Oh, sorry you had to turn off those cards, man. That's a bummer. We do got to get you off with some off-grid power, man, with some renewable options. I think that's what I'm hearing. When you say you got to turn off half your cards, I think we just got to help build up your renewable infrastructure. If that's at all possible, right? If you can do that, that might be the way to go. Paul D is saying, I'm all in on Radeon 7s. Radeon 7s are pretty dope, right? Look at that. The comparison right now, the comparable, it's just unbelievable how much value is there. How old they are, the fact you can get them relatively cheap. Pretty crazy stuff. But point is, a lot of the lower, the more efficiency-oriented cards are underwater now, right? So 1050 Ti, the 4 gig Polaris cards, not doing so hot. You would have to be at basically free power, and you'd also have to be running the top efficiency by getting them into an engineering fluid or mineral oil dunk at this point. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but there it is. Mir Andrew says, got in late. What did we miss? L7. D-Miner, is that L7? Are you talking about the Litecoin? mining device? No, I'm missing it. i7 or L7. Sorry about that. So, yeah, there you go. Yes. Okay, awesome. Yeah, any kind of an S script miner is going to be a good option as well. This should come back up pretty well. But yeah, currently, guys, GPU mining taking a hit. Raven with Kapow, fine, but very, very core intensive. Going to run down your cards pretty fast. Octopus for Conflux looks like it's doing okay. It's coming up pretty frequently there. Flux is off this list, but I do think that it is going to consume a lot of hash rate very soon. That's my take on it. Might not be as profitable, but there you go. All right, guys. News headlines. Bitcoin indicator that nailed all bottoms predicts a 15.6K price floor. I love that they use a crystal ball there because it's a perfect analogy, right? Okay, so this time's going to be exactly like every other time, right? And you're going to be able to use the same logic to call the bottom, right? Wrong. We had serious problems. AZTV says scammers, retail noob, predators, etc., wrecked. MYB the real one, though. Man, I really appreciate you saying that, man. And here's the funny thing. I know some of these people and I have conversations with them. And yeah, mistakes were made along the way with some of the stuff they chose to cover and some of the stuff they chose to promote. It's a tricky thing, right? Being strictly in the content business. And there's a reason, you guys, that I don't publish every single day. And that I'm not like just trying to find something like, desperately grasping to find some news to cover every single day. It makes the person desperate. It makes you require the ad revenue, right? There are some people in this space, even GPU mining space, who they would be wrecked. They'd have to go back to a day job if they weren't a full-time content creator. They couldn't even just live off their mining operation. So yeah, unfortunately, you gotta balance it, right? Between actually having like a real job, doing crypto investing, and then if you're into mining, making the right picks with your mining. And then not getting so like hyper focused on just the content side that you're stuck having to make clickbait and headlines and all the other stuff, right? Like I do it too. We have to. It's part of the game. But yeah, unfortunately for some of the other guys, they wind up getting caught up in some stuff that's bad. So appreciate the kind words though. But yeah, Crystal Ball is about right. Yeah, Forever Metal says, we appreciate you for finding your way, though. Thanks, man. It's a tricky thing. It's a tricky balance. We're going to get through this together, though, I think. I hope, right? Wag me? Nah. But we're gonna do what we can. So, yeah, Bitcoin needs to go lower before putting in a macro bottom. One of the most accurate indicator shows, guys. I will not get tired of showing the chopsticks. Our trend has been pretty good. Our trend has been really pretty good. It's been mad decent. We might break to the downside. We might break to the upside, but we're continuing to sort of like witness this dead cat bounce. And I'm going to stand by my call of somewhere between 12 to 14K as being a sort of a sustainable bottom. If we wick down below that, great, fine. We see a $10,000 Bitcoin. But again, we had people who I don't know why. They were plugging in their ears and wishful thinking, we're only ever going to see $24,000 Bitcoin. Cool story, bro. Cool story. Cool. Keep on saying that. Keep on thinking that. And, yep. All right. But yeah, I'm going to stick to that prediction there of just not even a prediction, just showing a trend, right? And not financial advice. Just that's a trend. So you can try to compare it to every other market before. It doesn't map perfectly. These are not perfect fractals. So good luck with that. CNBC, you don't care about my privacy. You hate me. All right. CNBC's Brian Kelly, long on Bitcoin. We are getting a lot closer to a generational bottom. Again, CNBC, do they have your best interest in mind, or are they lining up exit liquidity from retail? Because I think they're lining up exit liquidity from. I think that's what the mainstream media. I think that's their only job. Sorry, Jim Cramer. Sorry, everybody else on every other financial show on mainstream media. I think the only thing that you're allowed to do for your job, whether you know better or not, is to line up exit liquidity for whales in the traditional markets. I think that's the only thing that your handlers will let you talk about. So, good luck. Good luck in the post-apocalyptic Bitcoin, hyper Bitcoinization future. We'll remember, or will we? I don't know. We'll be like, hey, do you have any clean water purification tablets? Can I borrow a pound of beans? I'm just kidding. Seriously, I hope it never comes to that. All right. But yeah, I don't think we're close to a generational bottom. The Daily Hodl reports about how Binance CEO CZ makes a 10-year prediction for decentralized finance. This is where, like, I think that there is some merit to taking a look at what CZ is doing and Binance Smart Chain. Do I think Binance Smart Chain is going to be like the winner of DeFi? No. But I think that actually having a proper 10-year plan and then knowing, like understanding how DeFi is going to become dominant will be essential moving into the future. So yeah, he's saying maximum 10 years, DEXs and DeFi are going to be bigger than CeFi. From this man's lips to heaven's ears, I would love to see DeFi become the norm and to have a privacy layer become the default onboard and on-ramp and off-ramp mechanism for DEXs. If there is any kind of capital liquidity there, or have there be privacy by default into EVM wallets. I hope we get there, because I'm starting to see with all of the TVL that's captive on Ethereum and EVM networks, like that's where a lot of my attention went after Monero. Monero's beautiful. It's a great project, but Monero doesn't have stablecoins. It'd be cool if it did. Haven tried to make stablecoins using Monero's tech, and they failed more than twice. So I wish that there was some way to get the best of both of those worlds. DeFi on EVM layers with privacy by default. Maybe we'll get there soon. But the costs have to come down on those networks, and that will require competing L1s like Polygon. You guys see where my head's been at the last year? This is why I've kind of taken the stance that I've taken. So it's good to see that CZ is taking that seriously. Hopefully he can actually create a roadmap and make that a reality. Whoa, I just kind of lost something there. Apologies. We've got a little bit of an issue sometimes when I try to switch tabs. There we go. B Baker says we may be at a generational bottom around 11 or 15K, but I really don't see things going up a lot until inflation and the oil and gas drilling are fixed. Facts. It do be facts, sir. The block reports on how OpenSea co-founder Alex Atala is going to leave the company but remain on the board. This is we're entering the era of mass resignation. So the great resignation that was happening in corporate America is going to start hitting DeFi and decentralized projects, including play to earn, including NFT marketplaces, including mining infrastructure. We're going to see this from the exec level, not because they're like, you know what, I would just prefer to stay at home, but more because they're realizing, mistakes were made. The chickens are coming home to roost, like, or whatever. The peasants are growing, restless, and they realize we're very upset at some of the poor choices that they've made in the past, whether it's allowing insider trading, right, or insider picks, right, at OpenSea, or possibly even being complicit in insider picks at OpenSea, and then other things like, I think we're gonna continue to see this, and definitely with the centralized exchanges as well. We're gonna start seeing people just drop off the map and off of the org tree at some of these companies because they realize people are onto me, and I can't keep it up. The block also reports on Ethereum mining revenues falling by 45% in June. Speaking of the Great Resignation, we're going to see this happen with GPU mining, and unfortunately, the GPU secondary market is going to become illiquid very, very soon. We're starting to see MSRP for new units fall into what we expect, but the next generation of graphics cards is coming out. Would you buy a brand new RTX 3000 series GPU when you think you could get an RTX 4000 in a couple of months? I don't know if I would. Not unless the discounts are really, really heavy, right? Like I might get a top of the line 3090 Ti, maybe two for the gaming rigs, like for the kids and for me, for the workstation. But why would I get them at scale right now? When the 4000 series is right around the corner and it should launch at MSRP because the demand won't be that high. But you tell me. I worry about like where we're at, but also, not overly worried. So revenues are down, but the builders are going to keep on building. Meta is going to end Novi Crypto by September 1st. What does this mean? This means that the partner programs that project launched, that Meta and Facebook and the Novi developer team launched, are going to continue. Namely, I don't want to name names. I don't want to give them free publicity. The point is, these things never die, right? Open source never dies. It multiplies. It's being forked into other projects. It's not the last that we're going to see of the Novi blockchain code base or of the team behind it. GPU shortage is over. If The Verge is saying it, you can't believe it, right? These guys also are trying to get you to buy old cards at MSRP just because the price is coming down. I think they're just trying to do NVIDIA solid by moving some RTX 3000 series stock when we need to be looking forward to that 4000 series coming out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I actually have to jump off the live stream because I have some calls to get to. Just excited. Thanks for spending this time with me. Appreciate you guys making these comments. Unboxing Project on that note says, nope, wait till the RTX 4000s come out. Get the 3000s for even cheaper. That's the right thinking. Carlos Salome says, are we going to see QT in July? Why am I not remembering what QT is? I'm not thinking what that is. Yep. So appreciate you being here with me live. Appreciate you hitting that subscribe button, smashing the bell icon, thumbs up, and all the clicks, guys. It helps. It helps so much. I'm making note of those requested videos, the talking head video for Akash versus Flex Network, the whiteboard video for current ASIC and GPU pricing. We got to go back to our old community spreadsheet, which I can revise and make new for maybe a whiteboard style video. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, appreciate you guys bringing up the quantitative tightening. Thank you. Brain fart. Too many acronyms in one afternoon. But we'll be back with you with some additional unboxing footage, which you already shot, some additional event footage, which we've already shot, some upcoming interview footage, which we are shooting. So much going on, right? Like, it looks like the markets are cooling off, but that's when we get to work. Others give up. We just work harder. Appreciate you guys watching to the end. You're the reason I make this media. I love your face. Remember to stay private and mind your biz. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video. Remember to check out mineyourbiz, where you can sign up for Mine Your Biz Insiders, our occasional newsletter where we don't spam you, but we do send out occasional important information, including flash sales and important deals on privacy-preserving technology. This is one of the ways that we can talk to you without censorship and without the oversight of third-party media platforms. You can also check out the new Mine Your Biz phone, as well as merch, or sign up to become an affiliate for anything sold directly on the mineyourbiz website. You can earn a percentage of anything that we sell. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video. You're the reason I make this media. I love your face. Remember to stay private and mind your biz.